The player you're watching right now, rising up to bury a contested three over Anthony Edwards, was one of the most unstoppable one-on-one scorers in the league last season. It doesn't matter how many defenders you throw at him, he's still going to find his shot and knock it down. And if he gets switched onto a weaker defender, you can almost go ahead and mark it as 2 points. That's Deni Avdija, one of the league's most underrated ISO scorers. In fact, outside of Kevin Durant, no All-Star or All-NBA player generated more points per possession in isolation than Avdija last season. He's not just a pull-up shooter, he's a complete ISO package. He can put the ball on the floor, attack the rim with power, and get to the line at an elite level. A true 3-level scorer. Just watch this. One quick crossover, he blows past Josh Hart, then somehow banks in one of the wildest shots you'll ever see over Towns. And to top it off, he draws the foul for the and one. And speaking of and ones, no player in the league was better at drawing fouls in isolation than Avdija. His acceleration off the dribble is so deceptively quick that defenders stumble, panic, and end up bailing him out with a foul. Even against last season's Defensive Player of the Year, Evan Mobley, Avdija held his own. Watch how he uses his body to shield Mobley, keeping a straight line to the rim. Then, right as he's about to finish, he leans just enough into Mobley to keep him from elevating, forcing an unintentional foul while still getting the shot off. That's not luck. That's a player who's mastered the art of foul drawing on drives. At times, he doesn't even need to rely on his quickness. He uses his frame very well, slowly backing down his defender, spinning off them, and waiting for just one slip in discipline. And although Juzang had done a solid job defending Avdija up to this point, a single reach-in was all it took. Avdija drew the foul and finished through contact for the and one. And when you watch him, you can tell he's studied plenty of James Harden tape. The way he scoops the ball through the defender's arm the second it drifts too far from their body, it's straight out of prime Harden's playbook. But it's not just about drawing the foul, it's about converting the shot while drawing it. Harden made that iconic, and Avdija is proving he can do the same. What makes it even more impressive is how his game has grown. Year after year, his drives per game have gone up, yet his scoring efficiency on those drives hasn't dipped. It's actually improved. At the same time, his trips to the free throw line have only increased. That's a deliberate commitment to refining both his finishing and his foul drawing craft. But Avdija isn't just a scorer, he's an underrated playmaker too. He forces defenses to collapse on his drives, and instead of panicking when help rotates, he stays composed. He reads the floor, finds the open man, and creates high-quality looks for his teammates. Even when he attacks full speed, initiates contact, and gathers, he has the awareness to resist forcing up a tough shot, choosing instead to set up the better opportunity. That ability to catch his defender off guard with his lightning-quick first step and immediately put the defense into rotation is exactly what allowed him to create so many easy scoring opportunities for his teammates last season. And the beauty of his game is that he isn't limited to just playmaking off the drive. If he gets switched onto a smaller guard, Avdija will take him straight to the post. Once the help inevitably comes, he not only has the vision but also the precision to fire off those one-handed cross-court dimes right into the shooting pocket of his open teammate. That's the caliber of passer we're talking about here with Avdija. To put his passing into perspective, nearly 10% of his total drives last season resulted directly in assists. Now, at first glance, that might not sound like a massive number, but for a high-volume, downhill wing like Avdija, that's actually elite territory. When you stack his assist rate on drives against some of the best wings in basketball, it becomes clear. Avdija isn't just holding his own, he's right there with them. And in some cases, he's even better. And we're not comparing him to just anybody. We're talking about LeBron and Giannis here, two players universally recognized as elite playmakers with extraordinary vision, capable of picking apart defenses the moment they collapse. Yet Avdija stands toe-to-toe with both in that very category. And while his passing is already impressive, there's another aspect of his game that stood out to me even more. Last season, Avdija quietly carved out a reputation as one of the league's most efficient pick-and-roll initiators. He ranked in the top 30% in points per possession created, which is impressive on its own, but the deeper you look, the more remarkable his production becomes. Among all players who ran at least 3 pick-and-rolls per game, Avdija ranked second in the entire NBA in effective field goal percentage. The driving force behind that efficiency? His vastly improved jump shot. On pull-up threes, Avdija knocked down an incredible 41%, a mark higher than elite shot makers like Jalen Brunson, Steph Curry, SGA, and Trae Young. That was the caliber of shooters he was standing toe-to-toe with and in many ways surpassing. What makes it even more special is how seamlessly it translated on the floor. Anytime defenders went under the screen, Avdija wasted no time pulling up from deep. Even when his initial plan was to drive, he had the poise to stop on a dime, shift his momentum with a smooth step back, and rise into rhythm. A quick, through-the-legs dribble was often all he needed to reset his body into perfect shooting form. And no matter the contest, whether it was a defender scrambling back, a late switch, or even a strong hand in his face, Avdija shot with total confidence. He didn't overthink, he simply let it fly, and more often than not, he made defenses pay. This is exactly why you never want to go under the screen on a pick and roll involving Avdija, because the moment you do, it's almost automatic 3 points. So naturally, the adjustment is to go over the screen instead. But here's the issue. That's when Avdija's driving game comes into play. The second he gains even a sliver of separation, he becomes a nightmare to contain on his way to the rim, especially with how polished his finishing has become, something we highlighted earlier in this breakdown. Even against an elite on-ball defender like Anunoby, Avdija uses his body brilliantly. Watch how he temporarily positions his off-arm like a shield, keeping Anunoby just far enough away to open up that clean look at the basket. And credit where it's due, Klingen's beautiful seal on Towns is what makes that finish even more accessible. What makes Avdija so dangerous is how instinctual he is in these situations. Just like how he'll pull up the instant his defender ducks under the screen, he knows exactly what to do when they fight over the top. He leverages his body to keep the defender on his hip, never allowing them to recover in front, which almost always leads to a high percentage shot near the rim. And when you pair that with a big like Klingen, who fully understands his role in these actions, sealing off the opposing big to clear Avdija's driving lane, you're looking at a sequence that's nearly automatic offense unless help rotates over. Even on this possession here, Jalen does everything right, navigating the screen well, keeping an arm out to deny the pass to Klingen. Al also does a great job in using his length to cut off Avdija's passing angles, and even times his late switch onto Avdija beautifully. But just a brief lapse in focus from Jalen, losing track of where Klingen was all it took. That tiny bit of separation gave Avdija the perfect window to float the lob right over, leading to an effortless Klingen finish at the rim. And honestly, I could roll clip after clip of Avdija dissecting pick and roll coverages and exposing defensive lapses, but it would all circle back to the same truth: his elite playmaking, his high-level basketball IQ, and his growing confidence as a scorer. What makes this so exciting is that Avdija is still just scratching the surface. He's already shown so much, yet there's clearly another level to his game. I even made a video earlier breaking down why he might have the best value contract in the entire league, because for what he brings right now, he's heavily underpaid. And the scary part, he's only going to get better. There's still a whole other side of his game I haven't touched on today. His ability to ignite transition offense the moment he grabs a defensive rebound. The fact that he's one of the best rebounding wings in basketball, pulling down nearly 9 boards per 36 minutes. And let's not forget his defense, which doesn't get talked about nearly enough, especially his ability to hold his own in one-on-one matchups. I may have to do a full part 2 breakdown just to give those areas the spotlight they deserve. But until then, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all the support, and I can't wait to dive into more film with you next time.
Avdija with it. Ball fake drive. Goes right at Bridges. I mean, right through him.